Hi everyone and welcome back to AK Academy and AK Expenses Tracker. So right now we have the last operation we have to do against the transaction, which is the update. So in this video, before we start coding this operation, I'm just going to explain how we're going to achieve this step by step. It's not going to be that complicated, but it requires some focusing because we have some kind of architecture stuff when it comes to attachments, and we have a little bit of business logic when it comes to update the wallet balance, right? So we have here the same DTO that for the add that we are going to submit for the update. The only difference is that we have the ID of the transaction available for us in this DTO. So the first process we need to do is, of course, doing the input validation, trying to check that all the fields are satisfying the properties that we have or the characteristics that we have for them. And then we need to make sure that this transaction actually exists. Then we need to make sure that this wallet is the right wallet. The wallet validation has to be the same for the transaction. And then we have attachments validation. This one requires it's not difficult, but I'm going to talk about that in a bit, because we need to split between the attachment that we need to delete, the attachment that we need to add, or the attachment that we are going to leave as they are. We have these three types. And then we have insert attachments, which is they are under all the same structure: delete, attachment, and insert. The last thing we have update amount, or the step before the last step. We need to update the amount of the balance, so of the balance of the wallet, like the overall balance. And then finally we just need to update the transaction details as they are in the database. That's a simple update process, but I'm going right now to explain what you're going to do with the attachments and the update amount. So let's start first by attachments. Let's suppose that we have this in the database. So as you can see, this is the document we are trying to update. This is the one that inside the database, and this is the document that's coming from the client. This is the DTO that we receive. So we have difference in attachments. So as you can see, in this upcoming DTO, we have 3 attachments: 2, 3, and 4. And the existing one in the database has 1 and 2. The first step we need to do is to determine what attachments to delete and what attachments to insert. So we will start first by the to delete. How we can define that? Basically, the attachments to delete is every attachment that's currently existing in the document inside the database, but not existing in the DTO. That means the client is not interested in this document anymore, and we need to remove it. The second thing is to the attachments to insert. Those are basically the attachments that are existing in the upcoming DTO, but not existing in the document inside the database. So those attachments are going to be marked for insertion. We need to add those to the transaction DTO. And the one that's existing here and here will stay the same, no changes like the 2. So what about the add operation? If you haven't watched how we architected the attachments in our system, I highly recommend watching the videos like 22, 23, and 24. I'm going to put the link on the corner of this video so you can visit them, because if you don't have an overall idea about how we have achieved this, it's going to be a little bit difficult to understand this. But the process is simple. The attachments to add, all we have to do is just remove those attachments from the temporary attachments container inside our Azure Cosmos DB. This container where there is an Azure function that runs, and any attachment that's living here for more than 6 hours, it will be removed. And it will be removed from here and the actual binary of this file. So we just need to remove it from here so the Azure functions won't find these attachments. Then the links of this attachment will just leave inside the transaction in the database. For the remove, all we have to do is just we will update the transaction attachments array, because they live together inside that NoSQL document. So there is nothing we have to do on the database level, but we just need to remove the actual file, because we don't need to keep any user data on our servers. That's when it comes to transactions. Right now, let's talk about the update wallet balance. This one is not difficult too, but it just requires there is a little trick here. So I'm going to take you through an example so you can understand the process very well. So when we do these operations in the code, you say, okay, why? So here we have a previous state. Currently we have a wallet balance of 8,500, and then we submitted a new transaction, and this transaction is basically an income, which is 1,000. So that means the wallet balance has to be 9,500, right? That's right. Then the user discovered that no, that wasn't the right amount, like I did a typo or something, so it is 1,200. So we have a 200 difference. So how we can handle that? That means we need to update the transaction itself, but also we need to update the wallet balance without just going and make a query like count all the transaction history of the transactions and subtract the expenses from the incomes, and it will give you the wallet balance. That's not efficient. We do that transaction by transaction. What you have to do is we need to calculate the difference and add it to the current wallet balance so we get it right. The other scenario we can do is simply retrieve back the status, like ignore this, bring it back, so we will have 8,500, then add this to the previous wallet balance and we should be good. But this will require to update to the wallet balance in the database, which is something we don't want to do. So the most efficient way is to calculate the difference and just add the difference to the wallet balance. The desired state that we should have is the salary income should be just updated to become 1,200 and the wallet balance has to be 9,700. So that's very simple in here, but it will become a little bit tricky if the current state is salary income. Then the user discovered that no, like actually this one was a debit, it's not an income, so it's an expense. That means this one is minus. So the final state will be 7,500 because previously it was 8,500. Then we deducted 1,000, so it will become 7,000, 9,500. And the same will be for when you have when you change the amount of an expense. So the solution for that is very simple. We have very simple algorithm to do that. What we need to do to solve this for all the cases is just very simply, we need to calculate the difference between the new state and the current state, despite if it's an income or it's an expense. So how to do that? Let's take this plus 1,200, plus I mean here because it's an income, so it will increase the wallet balance, minus the 1,000. So the difference will be 200. So the first step is that we calculate the difference from the DTO that we have and the transaction we have in the database. We calculate the difference between the amount, and then we add this amount to the current wallet balance that we have. So plus 200 plus 9,500, and that will actually give us the 9,700, which is the right amount. Okay, that shouldn't be that difficult, but let's take another more example just in case you're struggling a little bit with the math or something like that, so you can have it very clear in your mind. So I'm going to take another example, but this one will be expense. So same wallet balance is 8,500. The user added a transaction or an expense, which is an Uber ride, and it is minus 500. So the current wallet balance, 8,500, we deducted 500 from it, so it will be 8,000, right? Then the user discovered that he made a mistake and it's actually 450 and it's not 500. That means we need this one has to be the new state or the desired state. The Uber ride has to be stored in the database at 450, but the wallet balance also has to be adjusted to become 8,050 because 8,500 minus 450, it will be 850. So let's do the exact same step that we did. Let's calculate the difference. Minus 450, which is the new value, minus 500, right? So minus 450 minus this one will become like a plus. So this operation will be something like minus 400 plus 500. So the difference will be 50. Then we add the result of this one to the current wallet balance, plus 50 plus 8,000, and we will get 8,050, which is the desired state that you are looking for. So those are the steps that we need to follow for the attachments and for the update the wallet balance, and this will work for whatever the state. Even if the salary was salary, then the amount changed, then actually it became an expense. It's no longer an income. So in this case, it will also just resolve it and set the wallet balance in the correct amount. This is the most efficient way for us, and it's the one that with the less trips to the Azure Cosmos DB, and the one that saves us more request units and keeps our application very efficient. So that's the overall idea. Right now we are going in the next video to start coding it. It's not going to be difficult, but I hope you'll enjoy it. So see you then.